Good afternoon, students, and welcome to today's Artifact of the Day lecture. I'm your professor, Dr. Rob Steffen, and today we are going to take a look at the Parthenon frieze, a snapshot of Athenian ideals. So, picture yourself standing in front of the Parthenon. It's white marble, glowing in the Athenian sun. But beyond its towering columns and perfect proportions, something even more incredible wraps around the building. That is the Parthenon frieze. This 160-meter-long sculpted story isn't just decoration. It's a statement about Athenian identity, democracy, and divine favor. It was carved in the middle of the 5th century BC under Pericles' ambitious building program, and the frieze depicts the Pan-Athenaic procession, a grand civic and religious festival in honor of the goddess Athena. But why is this frieze such a big deal? Well, today, we're going to break it down and make you an expert on one of the most breathtaking and debated works in all of Greek art. Alright, so what the heck is a frieze, and what's on this particular one? Well, a frieze is basically a continuous, long sculpture, and in this case it goes all the way around the Parthenon. So, at first glance, the Parthenon frieze looks like a really busy, kind of flowing parade of figures, right? So, elegant horsemen, sacrificial animals, gods, Athenian citizens. They're all moving in harmony. But the most significant moment of this frieze, and really the core of it, takes place at the center of the east side. And that's where a group of figures are engaged in a deeply symbolic ritual, the presentation of Athena's new peplos. That's essentially a fancy word for her new dress. So every 4 years during the Pan-Athenaic festival, Athenians wove a grand, elaborately decorated robe for their patron goddess. And this frieze captures that act, with temple priests, young maidens, and civic leaders solemnly unfolding the sacred fabric. This moment represents Athens' devotion to its protector deity, and the unity of its people in honoring her. It's a rare instance in the Greek temple art where humans take center stage alongside the gods, reinforcing the idea that Athens was not just a city under Athena's protection, but an extension of her divine order. Okay, so let's take a few minutes and talk about the artistry. So the frieze itself is the continuous sculpture that goes all the way around the architrave or entablature of the temple. But what makes the Parthenon frieze truly special isn't just its subject. It's how alive it feels. The sculptors of this mastered the illusion of motion in stone, with horses rearing, with garments flowing, and with figures caught in the middle of their stride. The composition is perfectly balanced. It's calm, standing figures. They contrast with the energy of galloping riders. And that helps guide the viewer's eye along the entire procession. So unlike earlier, more rigid sculptures, these figures breathe with realism. Their drapery is carved so delicately that it looks almost weightless. So this wasn't just decoration, it was a showcase of Athenian artistic achievement at its absolute peak. This is the peak of classical Greek sculpture here. Now on to the big debate. The Parthenon frieze isn't just famous for its beauty. It's also at the center of one of the biggest cultural disputes in the world. In the early 19th century, the British ambassador Lord Elgin removed a huge section of the frieze, along with other Parthenon sculptures as well, and he took them back to England. Today, they're in the British Museum. Now, Greece has demanded their return for decades, arguing that they're an essential part of Athens' history and that they should be displayed in the Acropolis Museum right by the Parthenon itself. Britain, however, claims that Elgin acquired them legally and that they're better preserved in London. The fight over the Elgin marbles, as the Brits call them, or the Parthenon marbles, as the Greeks call them, raises big questions about cultural heritage, about colonialism, and about who has the right to tell history's story. Okay, so with the Parthenon marbles, we're getting a continuous frieze or sculptural program that tells the story of the Panathenaic festival. And with the Athenians bringing the cult statue of Athena a new garment, what's known as a peplos or a dress in ancient Greek. And we've also now seen the debate between the Greeks and the Brits about where these marbles belong. But no matter where they're displayed, the Parthenon frieze remains one of the most influential works of ancient Greek art. Its artistic innovations shaped Western sculpture for centuries, and its message of civic pride, divine favor, and human excellence, that still resonates with us today. But beyond its beauty, the frieze also challenges us to think about who owns history, how we preserve cultural treasures, and how ancient ideals still shape modern identity. So next time you see an image of the Parthenon frieze, you won't just see a beautiful sculpture. You'll see a powerful statement about the past, present, and the future of cultural heritage. And now, you're an artifact expert.